When you log into Escape from Tarkov for the very first time, you're greeted with a screen that says, "Be prepared to die and lose everything." You will die, and probably very often. And that to some extent is going to be true, but hopefully with the help of these 20 tips, which are the basics for beginners for Escape from Tarkov in the open beta, we can go some way towards putting you on the right road for success. So, pro tip number 1, take a chill pill. You've got a shiny new game, you've got a stash full of stuff, but you don't need to go running in with your big gun and your 4 armor and wreck everyone on the internet. First thing you need to do is go into your traders, go to therapists, and you need to buy yourself some maps. These are going to be essential. All the veterans will be doing this. I did it myself. You buy the maps, you got to go in and have a good look round so you know where you're going. It's the biggest tip I can give you. So take your new maps, put them in your secure container, and we'll go and simulate starting a game, because this is going to be the only screen where it shows you the spawn and extraction points that you're going to need to remember. So select, doesn't matter which one, start with, go into customs, doesn't matter about the time, and you'll see the spawn points, even for the veterans, has now changed. So you click on one of the spawn points and it will show you the extraction points. And this one has one permanent, the ZB011, which is permanent, it's always there, and 2 others, which may be temporary, they may have other provisos you need to get out. Same for the other side, boiler tanks, you've got 2 permanent extraction points you can get to, and 1 that may have some kind of proviso, which I'll do a video all about at a later date. So once you've done that, you can go back and you can have a look at the next one. Factory only has permanent exit points, and you can see there's gate 0, gate 3, and just at the top, it's hard to see under the writing, but there's cellars. They've not changed from any other patches if you have played the game before, so there's no choice of spawns, and it's exactly as it was before this patch came out. So we'll do the same for woods. Go in, you'll be able to see the 2 spawn points, you'll be able to see where the extraction points are, and spawning on either side of the map is going to lead to some interesting game dynamics, which I think is going to be brilliant. Woods has a common special extraction, which is at the lumber yard, where 2 squads may be heading for the same place. So things could get pretty interesting there. But what you need to do while you've got these open is take a screenshot. And once you've got a screenshot, you then either have that open on your second screen, or if you haven't got a second screen, then open it up on your phone or your tablet or your laptop, or go back to the dark ages and print it out. So long as you've got that map with the spawns and the extractions to hand while you're playing, because you won't be able to see the extractions in the game. Now you're going to go take your new maps, take your screenshots, and you're going to go into offline mode. And in offline mode, nothing counts. You don't gain anything, you can't lose anything. You can take your gun, your armor, it doesn't matter if you're killed, you kill yourself, whatever, you still don't lose anything. Enabling PvE mode will put scavs on the map, but my advice is to leave that off for now and just go in and spend as long as you need going round, orientating yourself, picking out the landmarks and making sure you know where you're going, and before you start battling with anyone. Then you can have a battle against the scavs, and when you feel that you're ready, you can then go in and you can take on the PMCs, the veterans, and all the people that are going to exit camp, hide in bushes and try and ruin your day. So, pro tip number 2 is plan your future now. You need to do some research, you need to learn, and you need to stash things away that you're going to need later. To succeed at this game, you're going to need to level up your skills. Now, there's loads of videos out there on how to level up individual skills, and you're going to need to go and find out how you're going to do that, and if you need some items to help you do that, then you're going to need to start looking for those items now and keep them stashed away for when you need them. There's also a lot of new skills in this patch, which I'm sure there'll be skills videos come out for as and when. Also essential is going to be your tasks, your quests to up your traders. You're going to need to do those. So I've got 2 tasks on the go at the moment. Well, what you can do is you can go on your old friend YouTube and you can look up how to do all the trader tasks and what you need to do to up your skills in skills training. There's loads of videos out there. I'm not going to make individual ones. I have done some myself, and I'll put some links in the description. So I know that I'm going to need 30 cans of this Tashonka, which is for a task, and it's a real grind to get them, so start getting them now. As soon as you find them, stash them away, don't eat them, don't sell them to fence. I know I need gold chains for 4 armor. I'm going to keep a little space free for the keys I'm going to find. I know I need yellow car batteries, I need spark plugs, all from researching on YouTube. Gas analyzers, condensed milk you need for stress resistance training, and you need the gas analyzers for a therapist task. I've got these Celewas ready for a therapist task, and these 60 round mags are going to be for a prepper task. So I know all that in advance, so when I find them I keep them, so when I need them I'm not the guy that goes, oh shit, I sold loads of those to fence, I wish I hadn't. The other thing you want to try and do is start farming tea bags, because the tea bags are going to be important when you want to do your strength training. So I've put a tea bag in my secure box and I've gone up to 14.9 kilos in weight. How have I done that? They're all stacked inside each other. You can rush and dole those down, and you need about 40 of them to start doing your strength training. So if I get another 25 of those, then I'm ready to start strength training. So every time I find one, I keep it, I bring it back, I stack them in my stash, and that is preparing for my future. Also, while we're on the subject of trading, what you need to do is try and be efficient with your tasks. So you can see I'm currently level 16 and I need to be level 20 to get to the next loyalty level, but I'm already way over what I need in terms of respect with skier, and I'd only need to spend money. So the next thing I need to do to level up the skier is to level up my actual levels. So I don't need to go breaking my neck running around trying to get these flash drives just yet. I can concentrate on leveling up prepper. I already have the experience level required and the amount of spend required, but I don't have the respect level, so I need to do his task to up his respect. So completing the skier task isn't going to get me anywhere at the moment, but the prepper one is. So if I concentrate on that, I'm efficiently upping my traders. Which brings us on nicely to pro tip number 3, which is all about the very first task for skier. Now, skier is the most important trader that I think you should level up, because not only does he have all the cool stuff you want, like packers and forts and Kiva helmets, but you need to do his tasks before you can unlock the Peacekeeper tasks, and Peacekeeper is another great trader to have unlocked. So if you have the Edge of Darkness and you spawn with your fort armor and your Kiva helmet, then don't go out into the raid, get killed and lose them. Give them to skier straight away, get that task out of the way, and start moving on to leveling them up with the easier tasks. If you haven't got the Edge of Darkness, this quest is timed, and if you don't give him a fort and a Kiva within 3 days, then you fail the task, you can't do it again, you lose loads of respect with him, and you really screw yourself over for the future. So don't accept this task if you do not have a Kiva and a fort in your inventory ready to give him straight away. So this brings us on to pro tip number 4, which is sound is everything. You need to be thinking about reducing the amount of sound you make and trying to utilize any sounds you can hear yourself. So if we have a look here, when you're moving on different surfaces, it makes different noise. On metal, on stairs, on wooden floors, it makes loads of noise if you sprint around. And that can be heard by other players for quite some distance. So if you just walk normally, you're making a lot less noise, and if you lose your slow walk key, you're making no noise whatsoever. So you don't want people to know you're there, use your slow walk. Also, if you're having a little bit of a campy session and you want to hide and you're waiting for someone to turn up, if you turn, just doing that, that noise can be heard. The amount of players I've bunkered just on hearing them turn like that. So if you hold your slow walk key and you sort of wheel around in an arc, you don't make any noise at all. So you can change direction, you can look from a different direction without telling someone you're sat there waiting. Running through bushes makes loads of noise. Actually running on grass is quite deadened, so the sprinting isn't as bad as running on metal, but going through the bushes makes loads of noise, so run round them. It's very simple, don't run through them, run round them. And if you do have to go through a bush, then again, use your slow walk key, and when you're going through the bush, you don't make any noise at all. You also have the option of using your scroll wheel. Now, the scroll wheel controls the little arrow in the left hand corner, which is above your stamina bar, and that, if you roll it, will either raise or lower your walking speed. So you can raise it back up again, you'll be walking normally, and if you slow it down, you can hear your noise output goes down, you're walking slower, and when you're going through bushes, you're making a lot less noise. Scroll it down again, 1-2 points, then you're going a little bit faster, but you're not making as much noise. It's a really handy thing to use. Looting now makes loads of noise. It's unbelievable, and that can be heard for really some distance. So you want to be making sure that there's no one around when you're looting, whether it be drawers, boxes, jackets, bodies. It all makes a lot more noise than it did in previous patches. So you want to try and secure your area before you go diving in trying to loot loads of stuff. The final tip on sound underlines why skier is the most important trader to level up quickly, and once you get to level 2 you unlock these, which is the Comtax headset. Some people say they don't like them. I think they're brilliant. When you're wearing these in a raid, then you hear so much more. People turning, people going through bushes, you hear it. And the other side of that is it also makes you much more aware of your own sound, because you can hear your own footsteps. So it helps you to be conscious of the sound you're making, and it also helps you hear other players, and that's going to give you a massive advantage. Pro tip number 5 is break down your weapons for parts when you're trading them with other traders. So you want to get yourself a shiny new Clin, and Prapper wants 2 shotguns. You've picked up 2 shotguns from the scavs, and you're going to give them to him, and you're going to swap it for your Clin. Now, don't do that, because although you've got these 2 shotguns here, the clue is in the picture. He only wants the receiver parts. So if you go back to your stash, and the easiest way to do it is to drag them into a backpack. If you've got space, right click, inspect, and then hold control and then left click on each individual part. That will put them straight in your stash. Close that, do it for the second one. Again, left click with your control held down, and it will just put them straight in your stash. You can then move the 2 receivers back into your stash. Just make room. And then when you go back to Prapper and you want to do the exchange for the Clin, boom, you've only got to give him those receivers. So you can do the deal there, and when you've done that, you can also sell all the parts you've taken off it, which would have been wasted if you traded them as part of the deal. So you're going to be over 20,000 rubles up on the deal. Which brings us nicely on to pro tip number 6, which is shop around to get the best prices and make the most amount of rubles. So if I sell this scope and this barrel to Prapper, he's going to offer me 6,995, and if I do the same for Skier, he's going to offer me a fair bit more money. So you need to work out who's going to buy what and who's going to pay the best price. So if I take this Rolex, Therapist is going to give me a nice wedge of cash for that. If I try to sell the same thing to Prapper, he's not going to give me anywhere near as much. And I don't really see any point in selling anything defense, because he pays you absolutely naffle for your stuff. So don't bother selling things defense if making money is what you're all about. Pro tip number 7 is that buying and selling cash counts towards the leveling up your traders. So part of the criteria of leveling up is you have to have a certain amount spent with a trader. Now, buying counts towards it, but also selling. So what you can do is you can buy something from one trader and you can sell it to another, and both transactions will count, and you won't have actually had as much real term spend as you think. So if I buy myself, say, 10 of these lovely scopes, I'm spending 169,000 rubles, which will count towards my spend on Prapper. It will buy those. You see it's gone up by 169,000 rubles. Brilliant. But I'm 169,000 rubles down. So if I now go to Skier and I sell him those scopes, he's going to give me 100,000 rubles back. And that 100,000 is going to count towards the criteria for leveling him up as well. So I've leveled 270,000 rubles towards leveling my traders, but it's only cost me 60,000. This technique can work in the other direction as well. So if I go to Skier and get, say, 5 of these lovely Vepers, that's 120,000 it's going to cost me. I can now go back and I can go to Prapper. I can sell him the guns. He's going to bring me in somewhere in the region of about 60 grand. So selling those to him counts on my criteria for his spend. So that's cost me about 60 grand. So I've leveled up nearly 500,000 rubles worth of spend criteria with 2 different traders, and it's only actually really cost me 120,000 rubles in real term spend. Pro tip 8 is about learning the value of things, what to loot and what to leave. So here I found a lovely gold shiny coin that is worth a shed load of cash. I'm taking that immediately in my box. Oh, do I want to take these? No, they're absolute trash. Don't bother taking them. You're just going to take up space and not make any money. These ES lamps you can trade for grenades, so that's worth taking. Pro tip number 9 is all about controlling your stash. So you're going to spend a lot of time organising your stash, and then you're going to do loads of loot and you're going to lose stuff, and it's going to get in a mess and you're going to spend hours moving stuff around. So I know I'd like to keep these Tashonkers for a later task. So I want to put them down the bottom out of the way, but to drag each one down and scroll it all the way down is going to take ages. So if I control and left click, quickly put them in my backpack, I can scroll down where I want them and just drag them across. Much shorter distance, it takes a lot less time and leaves me much more time for wrecking everyone on the internet. The same can be done for organising your stash. If you control and left click, it puts things in your backpack, and when you control left click things out of your backpack, it always puts it in the first free space available. So you can fill in the gaps and make nice little rows of things quite quickly and quite easily. You can also rotate items when you're dragging them around. If you press R while you're dragging it, it will rotate it, and you can use that in game as well to better organise things in backpacks if you can't quite fit stuff in, or if you've got horizontal mags that you've bought and you don't know how to get them into your tactical rig. Just pressing R will rotate them either horizontally or upright, whichever way you need to fit them in. Pro tip 10 is reloading a shotgun in your stash. Right click on it, go to inspect, scroll along to the shotgun cartridge and you take that out. That's saying it's got no shells out of 4 in it. Simply drag and drop your shells onto the magazine and pull it back over and drop it onto your shotgun. Easy. Pro tip 11 is armor is your friend. Now, armor is going to be essential to keep you alive in Tarkov. Even this 3M Class 2 armor is going to give you a good amount of protection against the smaller calibers and is really going to be key to helping you stay alive. You also have the 4 armor, which is Class 6, and that really does stop a good amount of punishment. They're rare to find and they cost 7 gold chains to buy. But if you encounter any scavs wearing armor, always take it and always try and extract it. If you're wearing armor and you can't carry it and yours is insured, go somewhere quiet, chuck your armor in a bush, take the scav's armor, take it out, and you'll get your original armor back on your insurance. But you always want to keep it in top condition. So right click, select repair, and you've got a choice between Skier and Prapper. Prapper won't cost as much to repair, but every time you repair, it lowers the maximum protection your armor will give you. So Skier does a better job, even though it costs a little more. Like this helmet starts out at 40 protection points. When you repair it with Skier, it drops it down to 39.6, and when you repair it again, it will drop again. So every time you repair, it degrades its protection ability, but you always need to keep it in tip-top condition to make yourself in the best shape to survive. Your first opportunity to buy some armor comes at level 2, which further underlines why Skier is the best trader to level up quickly. And when you get to level 2, you can then buy yourself the Packer armor, which is really cheap at 16,000 rubles. It's class 2, has 60 protection, and If you're serious about extracting, you really should be having yourself some packer at least when you go out in raids. Pro tip 12 is how to separate your ammo into smaller amounts. So it's easily done. Hold down control and then drag your ammo to a spare space and you'll come up with a slider. If you slide that down to a small amount, if you're using tracer rounds, whatever you put in the magazine first will be at the bottom. Then you fill up the rest of the magazine with your standard rounds, put it back in your gun, and when you get down to your last 4 rounds, they'll be tracer rounds, so you will have a visual representation that you are running low on ammo. Pro tip 13 is about taking some meds with you when you're going on a hatchet run. Now you may think, oh, I'm just going out with my hatchet, get what I can in my secure container, and if I get killed it doesn't matter. But if you take some meds with you, they're relatively cheap, so it doesn't matter if you lose them. But if you keep them in your box to start with, if you get killed straight away it doesn't matter because they're secure. But if you find on the raid you end up finding a dead player that's fully geared, you want to take all their stuff and you want to extract it, the last thing you want is to get shot by a scav, have broken legs and not be able to make it to the extraction. So if you take these meds with you, as you find things that you want to put in your secure box, you can move the painkillers and the splints out because they're low value items, and you can replace them with the higher value items you want to make sure you get. So if you get killed later on, you may lose your painkillers, etc., but you should have a gamma box full of expensive stuff which has more than covered the cost. Pro tip 14 is about taking magazines with you out into the raid. You only really need to take 1 spare mag with you, and you don't clog your rig up with loads of magazines because you won't be able to reload. So if you've got yourself a scav vest and you've got yourself a nice AK and you're taking out a mag, or think I better take 2 mags and I'll take some spare bullets as well, without there being a space in your rig, you cannot unload that gun. So the reload mechanics in the game means that the magazine that you take out needs to go in a spare space in your rig. So if you've taken 2 out, you won't be able to reload it. So that simulates what the game does, where it unloads one and then it reloads the other. So if you just take 1 magazine and some spare bullets, you can even keep them in your secure container if you don't want to lose them. And when you press reload in game, it will take the empty mag out, put it in your rig, swap in a full one, and you can just drag your bullets onto your empty magazine. So you don't need to take lots of mags out with you, because when you get killed, you lose them and then you've just got to buy yourself some more. Pro tip 15 is about metabolism. So whatever you find, if you can eat it or drink it, eat and drink it immediately. So while you're using one, you can drag one into your inventory, put it on a hotkey, continue looting, and then you just press that hotkey, so you're using that while you're still carrying on searching. So you're being time efficient as well. The metabolism skill is important because the higher it goes, it means that your other skills will not degrade over time as quickly. So all the time you're not leveling things up, they regress on a daily basis. So the higher your metabolism, the less those skills will go backwards. Once you get to elite level, then you can no longer die from dehydration, which is really handy because if you get a black stomach when you get shot in the guts, you'll dehydrate and die pretty quickly. Pro tip 16 is about securing your pistol once you've upgraded to something better. So if you're going out on a basic pistol run and you're just hoping to knock off a scav, get a better weapon, pick up his gear, as soon as you do that, you want to remember to put your pistol back in your secure case, and then if you're killed, you've only lost what you've picked up in the raid. We dropped this super scav, which seemed to take forever. And before I go and loot him, because I can be killed while I'm looting him, I'm putting that pistol back in its case, because he's got a nice Vepper which I'd like. My rig is insured, so I'm going to drop that down, and I should get that back on insurance. And always remember to take the armour. Also, if you get involved in a fight you don't think you can win, if you can get somewhere safe and you can get 2 seconds to yourself, drag your pistol back into your secure box so that when they finally kill you, they're not going to be taking your pistol, which can be expensive to buy, and initially some of the good pistols like the P226 you can only trade barter items for. If however you've already done some looting and you've got some high value items in your secure box, you don't have room for your pistol, you can always just find a safe spot, Nice and quiet, and you can just discard that pistol where no one's going to find it, and hopefully you'll get it back on insurance. Pro tip 17 is about maintaining a low profile while you're looting bodies. So if you're standing there plain as day looting, everyone can see what you're doing, everyone can see you're a player, and you're going to get yourself killed. So this guy's right out in the open, there's no cover, so I'm going to lay down, and anyone comes along may take just a quick glance and they may think there's two dead scouts laying there. If they're fully geared or they're on an agenda to complete a task, they may not want to risk getting killed looting them, they might just run past and leave you. You also have the possibility that anyone that does shoot at you, the bullets could hit the body that's laying on the ground, which may protect you. Pro tip 18 is about not getting caught with the reload animation after you've finished sprinting. So we've taken a few shots, I've run off, I've pressed the reload button, I'm pressing it, and when I get to cover and I want to take another shot, I'm reloading my gun. So what you need to make sure is when you finish shooting at whatever you're shooting at and you want to reload, you take a few shots, make sure you press the reload button and then start sprinting, and then your character will do the reload animation while you're running, and when you finish sprinting you're immediately available to shoot. Pro tip 19 is about learning your keys. So here you are with a secure box full of a load of worthless crap, and you've found yourself a gas analyzer. You really want it, and you need to get it in your box before you get shot. So traditionally you'd right click and discard these items before you'd be able to drag it in. But if you hover your mouse, press the delete key, it drops them all immediately, and you can make space to put things wherever you need them as quickly as possible. The next part of this is about using the lean function. Now you can press Q and E and hold them down, and your character will lean out if you want to have a look from cover down a corridor such as this. Now you can also press Alt and either A or D, and that will lean out and that will keep you there so you don't have to hold the key, because it can be quite difficult to move around whilst holding down your lean key. So you may think, oh, I've pressed that, but it's not gone very far. But it's actually in 3 stages. So you can press Alt and you can hold D down, or you can do it in 3 separate stages so you can lean out as far as you need to be able to look down the corridor. The next thing is using the blind fire function. So you've taken fire, you've managed to get behind some cover, it's a low amount of cover, you're crouched down, and if you hold down your Alt key and press W, you'll raise your gun. You can loose off a load of rounds which may surprise your enemy into running for cover, and then you can pop up and you may be able to get some shots at them. It's not going to work every time, but if you can spook your enemy you get a better chance. Also, most of the reflex sights in the game have different types of reticule, so you can see here the little red dot is very hard to use. Now people don't know you can change them, so if you had Alt and right click, it will change it to a different style, and then you can change it again to a different style and again to a different style. So you can change your reticule to suit your environment or whichever style suits you best. And don't forget that if you've got 2 scopes on your gun, you've got a long range and a short range, or you've got one canted off at 45 degrees, pressing Control and right click will switch between the 2. The final tip is about looking for clues and learning to read the danger signs, and also about covering your own tracks as well. So I'm approaching the gas station, I can immediately see that the door inside has been opened. That means someone's ahead of me, which means they could be waiting for me inside, they could be waiting for me to go to loot, and then they're going to come and they're going to kill me. So if I'd have gone in here, I'd have closed all the doors after me so that no one knew that I'd been in there, so that when someone did turn up, A, I'd hear them opening the doors so I'd know they were there, and I could take my position ready for when they come out of this little corridor and boom, they're going to get it. As you gain experience in Tarkov, you'll get to learn what doors are open and what doors should be closed, and you'll be able to see very quickly that someone's been there and you need to be on higher alert. So there we have it. That's the end of my tips. I hope that some of you will have taken some good practice, learnt some new skills, and maybe developed some good habits that are going to help you to succeed in Tarkov, which can be a really challenging game. It's a lot easier if you play with friends, but if you're on your own, the more chance you give yourself, the more fun you're going to have, and the more people are going to regret bumping into you. So I'm going to do some future videos on medication and tips for the factory specifically, and I'll put some links in the description for some other videos I've done on weapon modification and some skills training. So that's it for me. Follow me on Twitch, and I'll catch you on the flip side.